More than 100 physicians send a letter to 12 area districts imploring them to adopt universal masking. I'm Chris Warner. We'll break down the letter and hear from two of those doctors on what they're hoping to achieve.
We also hear from some of the school districts addressed in that letter. I'm Zach Dodge with what they have to say.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. More than 100 physicians signed a letter addressed to 12 area school districts recommending a policy for universal masking. We have team coverage tonight on the letter itself and reaction from those districts it was addressed to. We begin with KOAM's Chris Warner with more on the letter.
The letter is only 3 pages long. It was sent to 12 local districts with the hope it would encourage local school boards to adopt universal masking policy.
There's a area group of physicians where we collaborate online, and Joplin schools came out with a policy this week kind of stating what their plan was as far as mask mandates and quarantine, and so we had some major concerns with that, and that's why we felt it pertinent to come out with a statement of our own.
Dr. Justin Wilberding with Freeman says the biggest issue with the policy is the quarantine guidelines outlined in Joplin's policy.
The current CDC recommendations and the Department of Health state that if you've had known exposure with somebody, that the recommendation is to quarantine for 10 days. The Joplin policy kind of goes against that, stating that if you've had direct contact, whether you be a teacher or a student, that you do not need to quarantine, but instead you can come back to school if you wear a mask for 10 days or for 5 days if you get a known test that's negative.
The letter provides different stats and facts regarding COVID-19, the Delta variant, the fact it's very contagious, and that it does seem to be impacting younger kids. Dr. Samir Dalia at Mercy says he hopes the combined efforts of local physicians will have an impact.
I think one of the biggest strengths of this letter is that this isn't, coming from one single hospital system. We have community physicians who aren't affiliated with Freeman or Mercy. We have Freeman doctors, we have Mercy doctors who have all stepped up and said, hey, this is important for our area.
Dr. Dahlia says they're not here to dictate policy, but instead to collaborate with the districts.
We aren't here to just say, hey, this is what we're recommending to school boards. We really want to work with the school boards, and we hope that the school boards take us up on our offer. And we want to sit with them and help them kind of decide what's going to be best.
The letter commends the Joplin area Catholic schools for already having a mask mandate in place and implores the other 11 to do the same thing. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Universal masking will be a mask mandate that would apply to all situations all day, with certain exceptions like lunchtime and, of course, exceptions for those with medical conditions. We also spoke to the school districts addressed in the letter. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what some of the districts have to say.
And just trying to get a feel for where our team members were at, and then where our community was at, was they felt they should be an option, not mandated.
While that may be the case, Neosho Superintendent Jim Cummins explains they discussed return to school plans with the health department. And if 7% of the student body in a school tests positive, then mask mandates will be put in place.
We will move forward with that at the present time.
Several of the other districts addressed in the letter will also move forward with their current plans. And according to the East Newton School District, the district is set to vote on their return to school policy tomorrow. So the letter will be presented to the school board during that meeting. In Galena, Kansas, the superintendent says this is their 5th day of school and that they have not seen any evidence of COVID spread inside the school so far. He also explains they received the letter at 7:30 this morning, while districts like Carl Junction got it late last night. CJ Superintendent Dr. Cook says in response to the letter, quote, he does not like how this situation was handled, end quote. District PIO Tracy Skaggs says she received it last night and saw it by chance. She also says they want everyone to mask and, quote, be responsible Bulldogs, end quote. And in Joplin, school board member Jeff Koch says, quote, masking is just one piece of the prevention strategy. Sometimes the straw argument is that if you aren't masking, you aren't doing anything. But we are doing a lot, end quote. Koch says he doesn't feel like the board needs to discuss the policy at their next board meeting.
We will continue to monitor how we are impacted here in Neosho and adjust accordingly.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
In Carthage, Superintendent Mark Baker says he appreciated the information in the letter and that it mirrored information provided to them last week during their meeting with Mercy Carthage representatives. He says they're going to also review their procedures to make sure their students, staff, and community are safe. Now tonight's KOAM News Now Instapoll question. Tonight we're asking, should schools implement a universal masking policy? You can participate, please do, in the poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. Results are updated live and we'll check in on them here in a bit. All Americans will soon be eligible to receive a COVID-19 booster shot, which health officials say will help increase protection against the surging Delta variant. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more from Atlanta.
Health officials recommending booster shots for Americans to help offer more protection against COVID-19 as the Delta variant continues to surge across the country. During Wednesday's briefing, the White House's COVID-19 response team confirmed that data show a decrease in protection given by the vaccine over a certain amount of time.
The current strong protection against severe infection, hospitalization, and death could decrease in the months ahead.
Americans who have received the full dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines will be eligible to receive a booster 8 months after they've received their second dose. Currently, Americans who fall into the immunocompromised category are already eligible for a booster.
We want to protect all adults in our country from the worst effects of COVID-19. But our plan does prioritize the most vulnerable.
So you get a dramatic increase in antibody titers when you do a third immunization dose.
Studies are still being conducted on Johnson & Johnson's one-dose COVID-19 vaccine, but officials believe a booster for that will likely be necessary. Meanwhile, some are concerned that calling for boosters now will only make those who were skeptical about the vaccine's effectiveness even more wary about getting the shot.
The single best action you can take to protect yourself and others is to simply get vaccinated in the first place.
Americans will be eligible for booster shots starting September 20th, pending approval of the plan by the FDA. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
Today's announcement from the CDC comes as the Newton County Health Director has heard from a number of four-staters already interested in the booster.
So we've had quite a bit of interest from the local community here in Newton County to have us tell them when they can start getting either that third dose for immunocompromised or the booster shot for the general public. So I appreciate the public's interest.
Nick Kelly joining us now. First look at the forecast. Some downpours today, Nick.
Yeah, including Joplin, Jordan. In fact, while we take a look at the quiet look from 7th and Rangeline now, let me show you the numbers. About an inch of rain from the heavier downpours worked over the airport this afternoon, putting us at 34.5 for the year. Plus, it kept Joplin away from the 90-degree heat, topping out at 88 degrees this afternoon. Most of us are dry right now. In fact, almost the entire area, for that matter, is dry after we had our afternoon scattering of rain and thunderstorms. But as long as our main upper level low is still nearby, I'm not going to rule out a few isolated showers during the overnight hours. And as far as temperatures go, we're in the mid to upper 70s now. I think we dropped to 71, Jordan. But how long can we keep these rain chances in here and the heat away? We'll make the forecast now in a bit.
All right, Nick, thanks so much. U.S. troops are heading back to Afghanistan to assist with getting people out, as the Taliban's new rule is met with protests and violence throughout the country. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst has the latest on the evacuation efforts.
The Taliban have pledged not to impose the same harsh restrictions as when they last held power in Afghanistan. But so far, the situation on the ground tells a different story. Protest in Jalalabad against the new government ending with at least one person killed after the Taliban fired on demonstrators. There are also reports of assassinations and beatings in a number of cities. The violence making the rush to get out even more desperate. Taliban leaders claim that any civilian who wants to reach the airport can do so. But video Wednesday shows the Taliban firing shots into the air as crowds gathered outside the airport. The State Department says warning shots were also fired by U.S. soldiers.
Our troops have set up defensive positions around the airport, and the airport is able to function safely.
The Pentagon is deploying more than 6,000 troops to help secure the airport and assist with evacuations, including an Air Force unit that specializes in securing airfields. The Washington Post reporting that national security officials believe about 10 to 15,000 Americans remain in Afghanistan, but there are currently no plans to evacuate those outside of Kabul.
We are the United States military, and we fully intend to successfully evacuate all American citizens who want to get out of Afghanistan. They are our priority number one.
At the moment, Americans who are still in Afghanistan who are looking to get out are told to shelter in place until they're contacted by the U.S. Embassy. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
The blame game is in full swing in D.C. as lawmakers question how the Taliban could take over Afghanistan so quickly and before evacuations were completed. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel is in D.C. with more on that and the latest from the Biden administration.
President Biden finding few political allies on Capitol Hill as images of Afghanistan's fall to Taliban fighters show the violence continuing on city streets and thousands of Americans and Afghans alike still working to escape.
Utter disaster. Obviously, there was no plan in place to deal with getting our own people out.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle expressing mounting frustration over the speed of the Taliban's takeover, as well as the Biden administration's failure to complete evacuations before withdrawing U.S. troops.
We are where we are. The focus right now has to be on getting people out.
Senate lawmakers pledge congressional hearings will take place to investigate what went wrong.
The events and images of the last week have been wrenching for all of us.
Meantime, the latest Real Clear Politics average of recent polling shows President Biden's approval ratings dropping below 50% for the first time since taking office. Some Democrats are reportedly considering dedicating a portion of their $3.5 trillion budget plan to help Afghan refugees. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
In addition to the Senate pledging hearings, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the House Foreign Affairs Committee is going to hold its own hearing next week. The panel's chairman says he's invited Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to testify. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Don Maples served in the U.S. Navy from 1945 to 1948. We are proud to thank and salute second-class Petty Officer Don Maples, a native of Elba, Missouri. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, a young Junction team preparing for next week's season opener. Going to hear from the Bulldogs in sports.
Another day with scattered rain and storms for some, while for others, we definitely kept on the warm side of things. Certainly Indigo Sky Casino and Resort showing at least another interesting time lapse throughout the course of the day. Nice start to the day. Then we had all that cloud cover and even a few quick showers, if not a couple of storms, worked over the casino grounds outside of Seneca, Missouri. But as far as temperatures go, at least from Joplin's perspective, it was plain and simple. Joplin stayed pretty much dry yesterday, and that's why we were topped out near 90 degrees. Then we dropped back to 67 this morning, topping out early in the afternoon around 88 degrees. And then we see all these dips in the temperatures throughout the afternoon. That's because after we had a quiet morning, Joplin was one of the areas that got a good scattering of thunderstorms. In fact, a couple good rounds of moderate to heavy rain certainly added up, especially in other areas too, where the rain really came on down. On the average, though, 1/10 of an inch for the entire region. Needless to say, some of you still didn't see a drop as far as today is concerned, but any of the heavier pockets of rain pushing random amounts from 1/2 inch to almost 2 inches of rain. That's been the overall theme each and every day so far this week, and we'll try to do it again for a few more days. For the time being, though, we started the evening out with some scattered rain and thunderstorms, but now a bit of a break in the action. Not really seeing anything out there on the radar, so we're all quiet at 9:16 on this Wednesday night, 75 at Joplin. Thankfully, it doesn't feel any warmer than that, despite a dew point sitting in the lower 70s. Everyone is in the mid to upper 70s right now, and with a little bit of humidity, still feels like the upper 70s to a few spots in the lower 80s, but everybody drops back to 71 by sunrise while we continue with a bit of a lull in our rain chances here. All these rain chances not really defined by anything at the surface or got going because of anything at the surface. Well, I'm still watching our front. That will play a role in our weekend as we get closer to the start of that on Friday. But upstairs, this upper low, even though it's north of St. Louis, this is what drove our rain chances today, and it's what's going to try and keep it around maybe as early as tomorrow morning, but certainly again for tomorrow afternoon. Here's 6 a.m. on the future track for your Thursday morning. Again, wouldn't be surprised if we had a few isolated showers, a few isolated storms as everybody drops back to 71. And then after maybe a dry start for the afternoon, we'll see another good scattering of thunderstorms again as we warm up during the course of the afternoon. 71 in the morning, 84 by noon, afternoon highs right around 88 degrees. Any thunderstorms we have for Thursday evening will dissipate, but then by Friday morning and certainly Friday afternoon, we'll see another go of scattered storms with highs staying in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. So just within the next 2 days alone, some spots may struggle to see a drop. Some areas maybe half an inch to an inch, but any heavier pockets, wouldn't be surprised if we saw you get 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches before the heat really kicks in starting on Friday. Let's go 88 tomorrow, 90 on Friday, lower 90 Saturday and Sunday with any rain chances for the weekend, mainly during the morning hours. But once we shake the bulk of this rain chances, Jordan, it's going to be hot and humid early next week with highs in the mid-90s.
Some of that rain today was coming down at a good clip.
Yeah, and for the lucky few, it managed to keep us out of the 90s, thankfully.
Hey, Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up, Haiti recovery efforts apparently not moving fast enough.
4 days after the earthquake, Haitians are growing more frustrated and desperate. I'm Brian Yennis in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, where the U.S. Coast Guard is rushing to save the critically injured.
Search and rescue crews continue to sift through debris in southwestern Haiti. Days after an earthquake hit the country, people are still waiting for critical supplies. Fox News correspondent Brian Yennis has more.
4 and 8 arrives in Haiti days after a 7.2 magnitude earthquake rocked the country. U.S. Army Chinook helicopters touching down in Port-au-Prince Wednesday morning. They're bringing in supplies and transporting critically injured people from rural communities to the capital. And on Tuesday, members from the Miami-based Coast Guard arrived carrying much-needed rescue equipment for search crews.
We have all kinds of rescue equipment. We have over 80 rescuers working in this area, and we'll be here until the Haitian government says we're no longer needed.
The help comes amid mounting frustration over a slow distribution of aid by the Haitian government. A tropical storm dumped several inches of rain across southwestern Haiti this week, causing mudslides that blocked roads. The country's death toll now topping 1,900. Haitian officials expect that number to climb even more as volunteers comb through debris from collapsed homes and apartment buildings. Adding to concerns, hospitals across the region are running low on antibiotics and bandages, leaving many injured Haitians struggling to get proper medical care.
They didn't do anything. They just gave her a painkiller. She died in my arms this morning. I can't do anything.
The U.S. Coast Guard has flown over 72 missions since Sunday and have saved over 100 victims. In Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Next, a special day for veterans and the rest of the country for that matter as the Honor Flight Network resumes flights. Celebration in the nation's capital today. The Honor Flight Network resuming flights for U.S. veterans after being forced to pause them because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The network will now be able to fly America's heroes to war memorials in D.C. Fox's Madeline Rivera spoke with them about the return, also their reflections about where the country is today.
Welcome to Washington. Pouring rain couldn't dampen spirits on this trip to the nation's capital. As veterans, they have been through worse. 113 service members from World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War all arrived on an honor flight to see the country's war memorials. It's the first honor flight in 16 months after trips were stopped because of COVID-19.
You know, when we came back from Nam, I came back from Nam, we got nothing. And here, it actually brought tears in my eyes. I mean, we never got this.
The ceremony for the veterans was held here at the World War II Memorial in D.C., but some of their thoughts were with military members miles away in Afghanistan, where troops are trying to evacuate thousands of Americans and Afghans.
Well, that's a disaster over there.
Vietnam veteran Dennis Keast is comparing Afghanistan's collapse to the 1975 fall of Saigon, when desperate Vietnamese tried to board U.S. helicopters as they left the embassy.
The way that was put together and all those people falling off the airplane, it's a shame.
Some question America's involvement in Afghanistan in the first place.
Why do we have to defend the whole world? We can't control the world, is all I'm saying.
All they can do now, they say, is hope all troops come home.
Stay alive, and we pray for you.
a sentiment the country shares as well. In Washington, Malda Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, might want to make some extra room in the diet for a new Girl Scout cookie. And it's awesome. More on this when we come back. Coming to you from Girl Scouts this cookie season. Oh man, look at that. Brownies! That's right, the Girl Scouts are debuting a new cookie called Adventurefuls. According to the Girl Scout website, the brownie-inspired cookie is topped with caramel or caramel, depending on how you like to live life. Caramel-flavored cream and a touch of sea salt. I hope we get to see that cookie again. That was awesome. Girl Scout cookie season rolls in January of 2022. All right, so you remember yesterday when I was all about the Cinnabon thing, the cinnamon rolls inside of a cookie? I'm done with that. I've moved on. That's so yesterday. Thank you, Girl Scouts. I'm all about this now. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Local veterans involved with the nonprofit Charlie 22 Outdoors share their thoughts with what's going on in Afghanistan and their advice for any veteran who is struggling with the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Details are coming up.
Also going to hear about an event in MSSU that connected students to the Joplin community. Veterans of all conflicts are especially concerned about the mental well-being of Afghanistan veterans after the recent collapse of the country's government. KOAM's Mike Mahoney reports.
Local Afghanistan veteran Stewart Tyree is making progress dealing with PTSD, but he doesn't hide his frustration when it comes to the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan.
Honestly, it's more of a slap in the face than anything. You've got a lot of soldiers that lost their lives, veterans of all branches that lost their lives for a purpose, and keeping weaponry and any sort of item that could be used against us out of the Taliban's hands was our main mission.
Fortunately for Stewart and many other local veterans, they've got a support group to lean on in the form of Webb City-based nonprofit Charlie 22 Outdoors. The group typically organizes outdoor activities for U.S. veterans, but their mission doesn't stop there.
Today we had veterans together just to talk about what's happening, what their service was like, and they came together today just for camaraderie and fellowship and to encourage each other. Very important to fight what they're facing mentally and emotionally.
The heroes involved with Charlie 22 Outdoors know that watching a country fall after 20 years of U.S. military involvement can be mentally scarring, which is why they are encouraging any veteran who wants to talk about it to do just that.
There are veterans everywhere, and we are the only ones that can know exactly what you're going through. Just reaching out to another veteran makes a world of difference.
It's like I told my nephew when he had to go. He says it's a different kind of war, and I'm like, war's war. Somebody is out to get you, and somebody needs to watch your back. I don't care if it's young or old, what war it is. We have a camaraderie and coming together and being able to help each other because we've been through it.
When the demons come and the issues come, don't think you're alone. You're not alone, and just reach out. And we believe it's a sign of strength when you reach out for help.
In Jasper County, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you're a veteran who'd like to learn more about Charlie 22 Outdoors or other support groups for veterans, we've included links in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Katy Days in Parsons, Kansas is canceled. The event organizers cite the spread of the Delta variant as the reason behind the cancellation. In a statement, organizers said they had hoped to be back this year, but instead they're going to be back, quote, in full force in May 2022. Students and businesses connected today on Missouri Southern's campus. It was the annual Community Day. 140 businesses showed up to talk to students about what they offered and job opportunities. It, of course, offers students a chance to connect with each other in a safe environment.
Community Day is really helpful to me because I come from a different state. So coming here, I'm able to learn about what this community offers and what neighboring states offer.
MSSU has hosted Community Days for the past 15 years. All right, in tonight's KOAM News Instant Poll question, we asked, should schools implement a universal masking policy? It's changed since we last checked in. 69% of you say yes, 31% of you say no. Thanks to everyone who voted. A bit later, a very unique type of fashion.
In fashion, trends come and go, but what if I told you
A growing trend is buying clothing you can't even wear in real life. I'm Jackie Ibanez. More on that story straight ahead.
Partly sunny skies for everybody, and for some, we have some scattered thunderstorms once again this afternoon. One of those spots quickly grazed by a couple showers or storms. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. But for the vast majority of the time lapse, it looked pretty good with the cloud cover coming and going across the casino grounds. Everybody had at least a quiet start this morning. Then we saw the afternoon scattering of rain and thunderstorms once again. But after we started the evening out with some of those scattered storms trying to hold on, we saw quite a bit of drop off in our rain coverage. In fact, I'm not really picking up on anything out there right now, but I would not be surprised given what we have in terms of our weather setup. We try to see a few more fire up, especially before sunrise. But for now, everyone's looking like Joplin. Quiet outside, partly cloudy skies up top, still warm at 75. Thankfully, even with the dew point of 72, it doesn't feel any hotter than 75, at least in the city of Joplin. Most of us are in the mid to upper 70s now, maybe a few spots trying to make it feel like we're in the lower 80s just because of the high dew point still out there. And that's also a good indication that we're going to mainly drop back into the lower 70s as we continue throughout the course of the night. Everybody across the four-state region is pretty much seeing a lull in the rain chances while we continue to watch the changing weather setup. Not much to show you here at the surface, at least right now, but the front to the north and west, that is a front that will try to keep some rain chances around for the weekend. For now, though, it's upstairs that we're watching. This upper low, it formed on top of the region a couple days ago. Now it's north of St. Louis, but still close by to keep partly cloudy skies in place for tonight. And especially before the morning drive, maybe firing off a couple more showers, maybe a random storm or two. But I think for the vast majority of you, you'll be dry to start the day out as overnight lows drop back to 71. We'll just do it all over again for tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully dry to start the afternoon, but underneath our partly sunny skies and the warming temperatures. Late afternoon into Thursday evening, that is when we will see scattered storms out there once again. Nothing severe again, but like the past couple days, including today, where the storms can really get going, some moderate heavy pockets of rain can't be ruled out. 71 in the morning, 84 by noon. Afternoon highs around 88 degrees. We fast forward through Thursday night, a little bit of a lull in the action. Then by Friday, one more burst of scattered afternoon storms before that upper low skedaddles to the north and east. So just over the next 2 days alone, again, some of you may be hard pressed to pick up any drops of rain, but for those that can get on the rain, anywhere from a 1/10 of an inch on the low end to maybe 2 inches, depending on where the heavy rain sets up. For Friday and through the weekend, that frontal boundary is nearby, but note how this upper ridge starts to build. That will not allow the front to work on through, but as long as that front's nearby, we'll watch for any rain chances Saturday and Sunday during the morning hours. But as long as that upper ridge really starts to build back in, we're going to definitely notice that with temperatures, especially early next week. 88 tomorrow, 90 on Friday, lower 90s Saturday and Sunday. Again, rain chances for both those days during the morning. I think we're dry and okay for the afternoon, but just hot and humid. No other way to put it for early next week, Jordan. Highs back in the mid-90s.
Ugh.
Yeah.
How about that technical word? Ugh.
No, that's a great way to sum it up.
All right, Nick Kelly, thank you. Hey, wind-driven wildfires raged through drought-stricken forests in the mountains of Northern California after incinerating hundreds of homes and forcing thousands of people to flee to safety. Look at that. The newest inferno, the Caldor fire, continued to grow explosively in the Sierra Nevada, southwest of Lake Tahoe, more than tripling in size in a single day to more than 50,000 acres. All right, coming up in sports, Carl Junction Bulldogs are just 9 days away from opening the football season. Plus, Fort Scott Tigers aiming for back-to-back league titles this fall. Jacob Leonard joins us with the details next.
The Fort Scott Tigers are in the middle of their first week of fall football practice. Now, the Tigers had a big bounce back year in 2020. Our own Danny Terzer has more on how the Tigers plan to reload and do it all again this fall.
The Tigers went from a one-win team in 2019 to SEK champs in 2020. They aim to stay at the top.
We're just trying to establish having a good program with consistency. Guys showing up, guys working hard, and when you do those things and have a little luck on the way, you end up having a consistent program that gets to a winning situation.
It took a special senior class to help turn the program around.
Those guys never complained. We were hard on them. We conditioned hard. We hit hard in practice. We played physical. Those guys bought into that, and that's why they were able to be successful.
Some good talent graduated, but the Tigers' hunger remains.
They know what we expect as a staff, and they're just trying to keep it rolling.
We did pretty good last year, made it to the second round of the playoffs, and this year we expect to go back.
Dominic Bishop is a guy who's played a lot for us. Caden Connor's a junior lineman who's been a 3-year starter now. Isaiah Heggie starts on the line, and those are just some of the guys we're looking to for leadership this year.
The Tigers' success will start with the linemen.
I believe we got 3 or 4 starters back on offense, guys who have played, been in the battle, physical, older guys, so they will set the tone for us.
I think we're pretty good, hard workers. You know, I think we'll, even if we have downs, I think we'll still stay up.
We just want to be a physical, hard-nosed team. It's no secret. People know we're going to line up and run the football. We're going to throw play action off of it, and we want to be able to stop the run on defense.
In Fort Scott, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Fort Scott's first game of the season will be on September 3rd on the road against Summit Christian. On the Missouri side, the Carl Junction Bulldogs are just 9 days away from their season opener. CJ lost some talented guys to graduation, and they're pretty young, but they're also ready for the challenge of competing in the COC this fall. The Carl Junction Bulldogs will have plenty of new faces on the field this year.
We got a lot of young guys, so a lot of room to improve, but we have a lot of speed and, you know, just kids that actually want to play, like younger kids that want to be better.
So far, those younger guys are up to the challenge.
I think there's a lot of kids that we didn't really expect to be, you know, like components of our offense and defense this year that have really stepped up and taken the role that the guys that graduated last year left for us. So I think that's been really cool to see.
We're really trying to be the toughest team out here. We're small, but we're quick, and we're really emphasizing on the toughness side of it.
We have some pretty decent players. We're just young overall and inexperienced with some older kids, but we do have some talented kids.
Carl Junction loses some big contributors to graduation, including quarterback Alex Baker. Senior Kyler Perry will be under center for the team to start the year.
I think it'll be a totally different style of offense. Kyler really offers a lot of things. He can run, he can throw, he can do everything. He's a smart guy.
Kyler is a dual threat quarterback. He has a tremendous arm. He has a big time arm, and he's also capable of running the football. And we just got to kind of rein him in every once in a while, and we don't want to get too much street ball stuff going on out there. But Kyler's a gamer, and I expect him to play well, and I expect him to make plays.
As the smallest school in the COC, the Bulldogs know the challenge ahead, but they're excited to get started.
The competition we play week in and week out is there's not any better out there than what we see every Friday night. So it is a challenge, and it's I'd like to have those numbers, but we don't right now. And but I promise that our kids they'll practice hard every day, and they'll compete, and we'll go out and be a tough out for everyone.
The Carl Junction season opener will be next Friday, the 27th, at home against Willard. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
The future of fashion is digital, and it could involve you forking over a whole lot of cash for clothes you can't even wear. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has an in-depth look at the rise of crypto clothing.
Imagine spending your hard-earned money on outfits you can't even wear in real life. It may seem strange to some, but a growing number of people are doing just that and investing in digital clothing, shoes, and accessories in video games and social media apps.
Gen Z kids who are playing Roblox, Minecraft and stuff, they're wearing digital fashion, have flames, they have wings, they can fly. This generation is now starting to get used to that kind of stuff.
But all of this has a name. When you purchase a piece of digital clothing for your online avatar, you're using a non-fungible token, or NFT. And for many designers, these NFTs are the future of fashion, with more and more brands creating virtual content, allowing consumers to better express themselves online, while taking fantasy elements seen in video games into the real world.
There's a real demand for more obscure sneakers that, because in video games there's no limits to what you can create.
And the business is proving lucrative. 23-year-old Hiroto Kai, whose real name is Noah, started selling his digital kimonos on a popular gaming platform, and within 3 weeks, sold $20,000 worth of virtual goods.
People wanted to be a warrior. They wanted to feel something different.
And even large fashion houses like Louis Vuitton and Burberry are hopping on the bandwagon, creating their own luxury NFTs for virtual games. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, a sneak peek of Netflix's upcoming season of The Crown and some other Hollywood news. Netflix drops its first look at the new faces playing Princess Di and Prince Charles. Plus, a new docu-series exploring famous horror icons is on the way. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Horror icons get the spotlight. Spencer heads to theaters and The Crown teases in the Hollywood Nation. Netflix gave fans a sneak peek at the upcoming 5th season of The Crown. The streamer released first-look photos of Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana and Dominic West as Prince Charles. They take over the roles from Emma Corrin and Josh O'Connor, who played the princess and prince at the beginning of their relationship in Season 4. The new episodes will focus on the royal couple's most troubled time during their marriage and their divorce in the 1990s.
Kristen, straight ahead.
Speaking of the royals, Kristen Stewart's upcoming Princess Diana film Spencer is finally heading to the big screen. It will be released in theaters November 5th. Stewart will portray the late Princess of Wales in the new drama that takes place over 3 days in the 90s when Lady Di decided her relationship with Prince Charles was no longer working. And arriving just in time for Halloween, AMC's premium streaming service Shudder is taking a close look at some of the most iconic horror villains in Behind the Monsters. The 6-part docu-series will focus on a single character, which includes Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Candyman, Chucky, and Pinhead. It will feature interviews with horror experts and the writers, directors, and actors from the original films. It premieres October 26th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Sweet dreams. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a blessing of the pet ceremony in Bolivia. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.